Hi, welcome back to the Wisdom of Your Soul. I'm Janice Mary. I'm a psychotherapist. I had an amazing experience connecting to my soul energy. And since then, I just love to talk about it, share everything that I'm learning with you and my clients. And I'm really learning how to have a much more peaceful and happy and abundant life. So I hope you stick around and listen. Today's topic is how do we break free from that addictive negative thinking, which is a challenge for all of us. You know, that's the biggest challenge in my practice with my clients, and it's the biggest challenge within myself. Even knowing that this soul energy exists, sometimes I often fall right back into that negative thinking. And I guess the big thing is the negative thinking doesn't really ever go away. It's just there are sometimes some topics have my attention much more than other topics are much easier to let go of. So it's not like the negative thinking will ever go away. It'll probably always be there because we have certain beliefs about things that get triggered. It's just a matter of, do we believe them? Do we believe these negative thoughts that come into our mind? And what happens to us when we do believe them? So I'll always ask my clients when they're talking so negatively about themselves or other people, how is this feeling for you right now? How does this feel in your body? Do you feel relaxed? Do you feel stressed? How do you feel? And, negative evaluations of the self, of you and other people feel horrible. It feels horrible in your body. It triggers feelings that are no fun. And it's not helpful for us in any way. So since we can't really get rid of our mind is part of the body, and like digestion or the heart or the circulatory system, there is really nothing that we can't really get rid of our mind. But what we can do is that we can not pay attention to it so much. So just like we don't really analyze how many times our heart is beating per minute, we don't think about how digestion works in our stomach. We don't think about how the blood flows. We don't focus on any of that. But with the mind, because we're in there with it, we tend to pay a lot of attention to it. And, sometimes that's really not so helpful. It can be very addictive and very toxic. So I would have to say we all probably have pretty toxic minds. And, a lot of the spiritual teachers out there are teaching ways to get out of the mind, to get out of this toxic thinking, to move away from it, to realize that it is not you, that the things that you're thinking about yourself that are negative is not you, and to try to cope with it in a way that's less taxing on your body and in your life. So, it's very interesting to see how different people will suggest how we can move out of this negative thinking. Like Abraham Hicks, she's the woman that channels Abraham. And if you haven't listened to any of her tapes or, seen her YouTube videos, I would highly recommend it. She's really great. And she works more with the actual thoughts, saying that our thoughts do have energy. And when we guide our thoughts into different directions, we're going to feel better. So that's kind of her way of getting out of the negative thinking, that once you're in negative thinking, just try to feel for the next best thought and try to help yourself out of the negative thinking. So when you're spinning out of control and you're thinking really badly about yourself, what's one thing that you can think that's a little bit better? And incrementally, one step at a time, you can move out of all the negativity and then get back into the better feeling thoughts. And those better feeling thoughts, you tend to not analyze and hold on to as much. You tend to then go back into experience, which we all know that when we're in our life experiences, we're not thinking. And when we're not thinking, we feel so much better. So that's her way of doing it. Eckhart Tolle, his way is being present. You can move out of your mind by being present, by being so filled in this moment that you're not really in that thinking mode. When you're using all of your senses, when you're really seeing and you're really hearing and you're really feeling, when you touch things, that you're moving away from the mind. And when you move away from the mind, you just naturally feel better. And then you're just in the moment to moment of life, which definitely feels better. So those are just two examples of two ways of, that other people have given us to move out of the mind. So I think it's really helpful for you to find whatever way works for you. Sometimes I use a combination of all of them. And for me, the thing that works the best for me is that realization that there is, my soul conscious energy that lives in me that thinks very, very differently about me. And anytime I'm getting upset or triggered, or the negative thoughts are just overtaking me, for me to sit back and close my eyes and just go within and to feel that energy. Because within that energy is knowledge. And the knowledge that you get when you go within that energy is much, much different than what the mind has to give you. Our mind is a wonderful tool, and it's like a computer, and it can give us so much information, and our conscious can use the mind, can actually use it and give us inspiration and thoughts that are much, much more helpful. So the challenge really is the minute your thoughts start going bad, is that you say to yourself, I don't believe this anymore. I'm just refusing to believe this. And you may not even believe that you don't believe it anymore, but that's your first step, is to say, I'm choosing to no longer believe the thoughts about myself that I come up with, that my brain comes up with, that feel so true. I was talking today to one of my therapists that I supervise, and he was like, well, how do you not take your thoughts, so seriously? How can you possibly do that? So I said, well, imagine, like a ticker tape in front of you, like, how the words pass by, and you can read something and it just passes by and you're just reading it. Picture your thoughts on a ticker tape and just see them pass by, and any thought that goes through that's negative or that putting you down or saying something about you, you can say to yourself, you know what, I don't have to hold on to this thought. Because when we stop the ticker tape and we take the thought that's very painful or hurtful, and we hold on to that thought, like for some reason I'm not good enough, and I hold on to that thought then creates in my whole body all these feelings that get triggered. So anytime that I have felt not good enough, it gets triggered. So now, my inner peace is gone, I'm upset, and it can take days to kind of unwind that. So if we can see our thoughts on that ticker tape and just say, you know what, I'm going to really practice, that when thoughts go by, I'm just going to let them go. And, the ones that I can't, then I have to just keep asking myself, what good is it for me to believe this? How is this going to help me? The only thing that it's going to do is it's going to create a lot of pain inside myself, and then I'm going to start to feel bad, and then I'm going to start to feel like a victim, and then I feel helpless, and then I get angry, and then you feel like you want to have a tantrum, like we did when we were, younger. The only difference is that when we're younger and we had a tantrum, somebody would come and help us. Now, when we're older, I think we expect people to come and help us when we're having tantrums. And when they can't, we get even more frustrated and more angry. And I think we even think, well, if we're this upset, that God or angels or somebody should come down and help us. And I think that is what we believe, that there's a belief there that being angry and upset is going to help us in some way. I don't think that we don't do things without the intention of helping ourselves. And when we were young, that did help, and it did work. Somebody would come to our aid. Somebody would help us and help us out of the pain that we were feeling. But as adults, it doesn't work. So we have to let that belief go. And that's a challenging one. I think sometimes we just get very stuck in that victim mode, and we can not enjoy, but we can be comfortable feeling sad for ourselves and feeling down and feeling like, just kind of down about yourself and your life and disappointed in yourself. So it's our challenge to say, nope, I'm no longer going to think those things. I'm no longer going to not only not think those things, but I'm no longer going to believe the things that I think about me or other people. And that kind of gives you a foundation. So if anytime a thought comes in and you're starting to feel uncomfortable, that's one of those evaluative thoughts that you're no longer going to believe. And what we can then say is that there is a place inside of me that knows better. There is a place inside of me that knows the truth, that knows that these feelings and these thoughts are not true. And let me pull myself away as best as I can out of those thoughts and feelings and reach back within to that energy that knows better. And that's the soul energy. That's the spirit energy, and that's the energy where we can find our guides and our angels and the people that have passed on. That's the energy of wisdom and abundance. And that's the energy we want to get to. So with law of attraction, you're getting there through your thoughts because you're going from negative to positive. And then once you're in positive thoughts, you basically stop thinking. Once you feel good, there's not such a need to examine your thoughts so much. So if you notice that when you're happy and you feel good, you're not really thinking. You're more in experience. So when you're just, maybe taking a walk and you're feeling good and you're feeling happy and you're not really thinking that much. So that's why the law of attraction is, a good way to practice getting out of the mind, going from that negative to the positive. But you don't have to even do that if you don't like that. Some people will say to me, I don't like affirmations, they don't work. And I don't like the whole law of attraction because that doesn't work either. Because I tried to manifest things and it didn't work. So you don't have to do it that way. You just have to say to yourself, I'm no longer going to believe this. I'm no longer going to believe any evaluations of me or other people. I can listen to my thoughts if it has something to say about, learning something or doing my bills, or, if my thoughts are coming in that it's productive and helpful, then that's okay. But when it comes to evaluating me or other people, I'm just not going to believe it anymore. I'm not going to give it any kind of weight at all. And just make that your rule so that even when you find yourself in those negative thoughts again, you can remind yourself, oh, I made a pact with myself that I'm not going to believe these thoughts anymore. I'm just not. And that will help pull you out of them. And trying to get away from our cell phones, our thoughts can be the same way. We don't want to let them go. Because I do think we have a lot of beliefs around our thoughts, that our thoughts are us, and that we can't stop thinking, and we have to figure things out. And being in your thoughts is a way to figure out your personality and to figure out other people and to have a better life. So we're not wrong for really being so involved and invested in our thinking. We're not wrong about that. And we could see where it comes from. It's just doesn't work so well. And it's causing a lot of people to really turn on themselves. When I get a new client and I kind of try to challenge the things that they're thinking, it's really hard for them to even consider that the things that they're thinking aren't true. And that's where we have to start. You have to consider the fact that the things that your mind tells you are just not true. And, some people are like, well, what the heck am I thinking it for then? And it's just the way our minds work. Our minds are filled with negative and positive things. And like I said, for whatever reason, the positive we can let go of, but the negative we hold on to. We just hold on to it. We can't let it go. And then we let it create, such havoc within ourselves. So that is really the goal for all of us, is to not let these feelings and thoughts become addictive, because they are. They can be very addictive. It's hard to stop thinking. It's hard to stop analyzing. There's some fun in that. As a therapist, I used to love to analyze a problem. I used to love to try to analyze people so I could figure out how I could help them. And now I don't analyze in the same way. I do a lot more listening and waiting, and just waiting for inspiration and guidance. And analyzing isn't a top thing for me to do. The only time I really analyze now is if I'm watching a mystery that I'm trying to figure out. And that's much, much more productive for my mind and my brain, instead of letting my mind turn against itself, which it used to. It used to be very, very, I used to really listen to my thoughts and really take them seriously and react to them, and used to be in a lot of pain, So it's so nice to know that there is another part of you that is not in this pain, and really is the answer to the tantrum that we're having in our mind. So when you're having a tantrum, listen, go to the other part within yourself. And you could even look at the soul as like the parent coming to your rescue, because it certainly feels that way. It feels so loving and kind, that energy, and knowledgeable. So you can even use that as a reminder. So when your thoughts are getting the best of you and your mind starts going and you lose your peace and your heart is racing and you're just really mad at yourself, remember that inner parent that lives within you in the energy of your soul. And that feels very different. It's not a punitive parent. It's not a parent that's going to tell you you're wrong. It's a very loving and wise and kind parent. So try to go within and turn to that instead. Really works wonders. So we really do have to, if we begin to just look at it that way, we'd be in so much better shape. So it's really, really, it's really a relief to know that you don't have to believe the thoughts that come into your mind. And like I said, we're not going to be able to stop this thinking and the thoughts and the feelings that sometimes it accompanies it, but you can kind of halt it. I had a situation the other day where, I was thinking about something that was really, really upsetting. And in the past, I think I would have been very devastated and really, really upset. And I really wasn't. I'm really not devastated over the situation, but I was starting to feel very, very sad about the situation. So I realized that that's just, my inner thinking getting the best of me. And when I realized, I really need to get back into that soul energy and just sit within the soul energy, I heard different answers and comfort and wisdom. And that really took me right out of those sad feelings and thoughts. And again, it was easy for me to fall into this victim mode, because that's what I believed for so many years, that if I scream and yell, that someone's going to help me. Or if I scream and yell within myself, that God will listen, or some nice angel will come and take care of me. And all that is true, but we're not going to hear it or feel it when we're in our thoughts. We can only hear it and feel it when we're back in our energy and our feelings, and in that good place. So it really is so much easier if we just encourage ourselves to not take our mind so seriously, to look at it as just like another body function that's doing its job. And sometimes it gets very, very critical, and we're just not going to believe it anymore. So that would be my answer, and a lot of other spiritual teachers' answers to breaking addictive thinking is to really, really say to yourself, I no longer believe anything that my mind has to say about me, and when the mind does that, we can just move away from it and say, well, I'm just going to go back into the soul energy, and I'm going to go within, and that will take me right out of my thoughts. And then things will feel a lot different. So when you know that there's an answer to this problem of this addictive thinking, and you can go to it every single time, you do. And that's really a blessing. And we all have that within us. So I hope you, really challenge your beliefs about yourself and no longer let that ticker tape, when it goes off, no longer take those negative evaluative thoughts about yourself, take hold of them and believe them. I hope that you go back into your soul energy and feel into that energy and ask to be seen, to see yourself in a different way. And you'll be given a different way, and you'll feel a different way when you get out of those thoughts. So I hope this helps. Just a reminder, the first Monday of every month, we're live. Me and Dax are live on psychictalk.net. So I hope you join us there. Until then, have a wonderful week. And, break that addictive negative thinking by just realizing that there's no way that any of that kind of thinking is true. So have a great day. Take care.